Sabook, your shortcut to knowledge in minutes.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we're all about unlocking smarter ways to live, work, and connect. Today, we're exploring Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less by Greg McKeown, a life-changing book that challenges everything we think we know about productivity, success, and focus. This isn't a book about doing more, it's a book about doing less, but better. In a world that constantly demands more of our time, our energy, and our attention, McKeown invites us to pause and ask one simple but powerful question. What is truly essential? Because the truth is, most of what we do every day doesn't really matter. We say yes to everything, spread ourselves thin, and end up exhausted, but not fulfilled. Essentialism is about taking control of your choices, focusing only on what truly moves you forward, and learning to say no gracefully, confidently, and purposefully. So sit back, relax, and let's dive deep into the mindset of Essentialism, a path to clarity, freedom, and peace of mind. Greg McKeown begins with a simple truth. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. We live in a culture that celebrates busyness. We think being overwhelmed means we're important. But busyness isn't productivity. It's just noise. Essentialists understand that life is about trade-offs. You can't do everything. You can't please everyone. But you can choose what matters most. The Essentialist's mindset starts with one shift. Instead of asking, how can I do it all? You ask, what can I go big on and what can I let go of? That's where true freedom begins. McKeown describes three main steps to becoming an essentialist: explore, eliminate, and execute. Let's start with explore. This means stepping back and asking, what are the few things that truly make the biggest difference in my life and work? Most of us say yes automatically to meetings, projects, favors, opportunities, without pausing to think. But essentialists pause. They create space to think, to listen, to observe. They look for what McKeown calls the vital few, the small number of things that have the biggest impact. It's like applying the 80-20 rule to your entire life. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So why waste time on the rest? The more clearly you see what truly matters, the easier it becomes to say no to everything else.
The next step is eliminate. This is where you start removing the non-essential, the noise, the clutter, the distractions. It's not easy. We often hold on to things out of guilt, habit, or fear of missing out, what McKeown calls the paradox of success. The more successful we become, the more opportunities we attract, and the harder it gets to choose. But success without focus eventually leads to failure. McKeown says, if it isn't a clear yes, it's a clear no. That one line can transform your life. If a project, relationship, or commitment doesn't clearly align with your goals and values, it's not essential. Learning to say no is an act of courage. It's not about being rude or selfish. It's about protecting your time for what truly matters. Once you've eliminated the noise, it's time to execute. This means creating systems and routines that make it easy to focus on the essential. Essentialists don't rely on willpower alone. They design their lives to support clarity and calm. That might mean simplifying your workspace, setting boundaries on your time, or creating daily habits that align with your goals. Instead of reacting to every demand, you start leading your life intentionally. You stop chasing and start creating. McKeown also talks about the power of pause. In a world that never stops moving, essentialists deliberately slow down. They make time to think, to rest, to reflect, Because clarity doesn't come from chaos, it comes from stillness. He reminds us that sleep, solitude, and reflection aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They're the fuel for creativity and smart decision-making. Without rest, we confuse motion for progress, but true progress requires perspective. A big part of essentialism is learning to embrace trade-offs. We often want everything: success at work, perfect relationships, health, happiness, freedom, all at once. But trying to have it all leads to frustration and burnout. Essentialists accept that you can do anything, but not everything. They choose with intention, knowing that saying no to one thing is saying yes to something greater. Maybe that means turning down an extra project so you can have dinner with your family. Or saying no to a new gadget so you can invest in experiences that actually bring joy. Trade-offs aren't sacrifices. They're expressions of what you truly value. McKeown also warns about the trap of non-essential commitments. We often agree to things out of politeness or fear. We don't want to disappoint others, so we say yes. But every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that truly matters. The essentialist learns to say no with grace. They might say, "I really appreciate the offer, but I don't have the bandwidth right now." Or, "This isn't the right fit for me at the moment." They understand that protecting their focus isn't selfish. It's responsible.
At the heart of essentialism lies a deep truth. Clarity brings peace. When you know what truly matters, decisions become easier. Your schedule becomes lighter. Your mind becomes calmer. You no longer chase everything. You choose what's essential. And when you focus your time, energy, and attention on what matters most, everything else begins to fall into place. You become more productive, not by doing more, but by doing less, with purpose. McKeown also reminds us that essentialism isn't a one-time decision. It's a lifelong practice. Every day, the world will tempt you with noise, urgency, and pressure to do more. Every day, you'll need to come back to that question: what's truly essential right now? Some days, the answer might be finishing an important project. Other days, it might be resting, reading, or spending time with someone you love. Essentialism is about living with intention, not by default, but by design. Imagine your life as a closet. If you never clean it out, it fills with things you don't need, clothes you don't wear, clutter that takes up space. Eventually, there's no room for what really matters. Essentialism is like decluttering your mental and emotional closet. You keep only what fits, what feels right, what adds value to your life. Everything else, you let go. McKeown ends the book with a simple but profound reminder. Remember that if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. The essentialist doesn't let the world dictate their direction. They decide what matters most and align their life around it. They live by design, not by default. By saying no to the trivial many, they make space for the vital few. And in doing so, they find something rare in today's world: clarity, focus, peace. So what does essentialism look like in your life? It might mean setting boundaries at work, turning off notifications, letting go of commitments that drain your energy, or simply asking yourself before every yes, is this essential? Because the truth is, your time is your most precious resource, and how you spend it determines the quality of your life. So take a breath, slow down, decide what truly matters, and give it your best energy. Remember, less but better. That's the path to a more meaningful, peaceful, and powerful life. If you enjoyed this summary of Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder to slow down and focus on what really matters. Until next time, stay mindful, stay intentional, and remember, Doing less doesn't mean you're doing less with your life. It means you're making room for what truly matters most.